What in the heck does a compressor pedal do anyway? Hello everyone, Brendan here. Welcome to Pawn Shop to Jaw Drop, and today I'm going to discuss one of the most misunderstood effects there is. It's the compressor. Now, I'm a great lover of compressors, and I often get the question, what the heck does a compressor do? Well, it's a fair question, and the answer is simple, really. What a compressor does is it reduces dynamic range. Now, I realize if you're not into audio terminology, or if you're just starting out, that might not make a lot of sense to you. So let's take a deeper look into what that means. Dynamic range is the difference in volume that exists between the quietest part of a signal and the loudest part of a signal. In this example, let's look at a guitar signal. Here's me playing a C on the A string of my guitar as quietly as I possibly can. Now, here's me playing the same note as loudly as I possibly can without taking a full strum. Now, I'm sure you can see by looking at the two waveforms, and I'm sure you can also hear that there's a great disparity between the volume of these two examples. The quiet example, which you can see in the upper waveform, came in at around minus 18 dB. The loud example, which you can see in the lower waveform, came in at around minus 12 dB. If we subtract 12 from 18, we get 6 dB, which is the difference in volume between these two examples, or our dynamic range. We have a dynamic range of 6 dB. Now that we know what dynamic range actually is, let's dispense with all the technical jargon and no longer worry about things like decibels. Let's just move forward with the understanding that there's loud notes and quiet notes. In the next example, I'll play the same C note, loud, then quiet, then loud, then quiet, repeatedly. Once again, we can hear that there's a very perceivable dynamic range between the loud notes and the quiet notes. We can also see this in the waveform for this example. Now let's take that and run it through a compressor pedal and see what we get. Listening to that, I'm sure you noticed right away the whole thing is a lot quieter. This is because each loud note has been reduced in volume by the compressor so that every note in the passage has a uniform volume. To make up for this overall loss in volume, we can now increase our compressor's output volume. And if we listen to our example again, we can hear that the loud notes are now just as loud as they were before. However, our quiet notes are much more audible. This is the purpose of a compressor. Okay, so after that, hopefully we all have a better understanding of what dynamic range is and what a compressor does to control it. The next question is, why do I want that? Well, in some cases you might want it, and in some cases you might not want it. So let's look at it in use. I'm going to play some chords on my Sterling by Music Man Cutlass guitar. I'm using the neck position, and this is with no compression. Here's with compression. Now, what you might notice right away is that there is a distinct reduction in high end. That is kind of a byproduct of compressors because you're taming the attack of each chord. On the other hand, every chord is even in volume and there's some beef that wasn't there before. So let's check it out again. Here's without the compressor, a little less beef, a little more attack. With the compressor, a little more beef, a little less attack. You can decide which one of those sounds better to you. I can tell you that if you're playing funk stuff, the beef and a little less attack is probably going to be a really good thing because you're probably using a really bright sound anyway. Now, where I really think you'll find a benefit to using a compressor pedal is when you're playing clean lead lines. So let's have a look at that. I'm switching to my bridge pickup. And now without the compressor, I'm in G. Now that's pretty cool, but with the compressor. Now, just like with the chords, you can hear that those attacks are really rounded off. The notes now are kind of blooming. That's really the sound of a compressor. And what it does is it creates a feel, much like when you're playing with overdrive, except that there is no overdrive. It's completely clean. If you're doing honky-tonk stuff or funk stuff, or even in some jazz situations, I think you'll find this to be really beneficial. Okay, so there's an in-depth explanation about compression and what a compressor pedal actually does and how it can affect your sound. I really hope this was informative. Who knows, maybe you'll want to add a compressor to your pedal board. No matter what, as always, I really appreciate you tuning in and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Well, friends, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. You can head over to pawnshop.jahdrop.com for even more content. But while you're here, here's another video you might like. This is Brendan saying we'll see you next time on
Pawnshop to Jaw Drop.